Da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. Thank you, Joel Felsenstein from Rockstar X. I appreciate you, my brother from another mother. You are amazing. Thank you for that intro, outro video that we used for 2 of our shows. And thank you for being a sponsor. Rockstar X is one of our sponsors. Want to kick it off by saying how wonderful these guys are, and they're incredible in the work that they are doing to not only bring awareness to the autistic community and to the neurodiverse community, but bringing it beyond awareness to actionable work to say to leaders, hey, you need to look at hiring people from these groups because they have tons of talent. They are different, not less. Want to thank Circle of Friends Club, our buddy. We were just recording today. Dom and I were recording today, part of our season 5 of Time to Change, and had Jason Wilson on. You might have also seen Jason Wilson recently. Just a couple of days ago, he was on our People Community event, this show right here. So thank you, Jason. Thank you, Circle of Friends, for being a great partner. Lazarus Learning, one of the OG8. If you don't know what the OG8 is, you have not been paying attention, my friends. The OG8, back in June of 2022, when we were first starting out the nonprofit, and there was this cruddy little website that I built myself. We had 8 partners, 8. Ocho. And Michelle Arntz was one of the OG8. Now we have over 90 partners in 6 countries. So proud of the work that we're doing. All of the people on our board of directors and advisory board. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being a partner, and Lazarus Learning for being a vital member of our community and sponsoring our People Community event. Without any more delays, people, you will not believe how talented these 2 individuals are. I'm going to bring them up now. Meredith Ochoa and D. Grant Smith in the house. Give it up, people. Look out. That's right. That's right. I actually, one of these days, I'm going to do the Michael Buffer. Do you guys know who Michael Buffer is?
Oh, yeah, dude.
I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to break that
like
out.
$250,000 just for saying, let's get ready to rumble.
I love it. I'm a boxing fan. I'm not an MMA but I'm a boxing true diehard. I grew up with Muhammad Ali and all. And man, I love it. But we're not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about these 2 incredible people. Meredith Ochoa, not another effing artist. D. Grant Smith, the Superman of storytelling. These 2, if you are not connected with them, fix that right now. Fix it. You are going to love their story. We're going to start with Meredith. Meredith, tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing, and then we'll get to D. Grant here in a second.
Wow. Thank you so much for the warm intro. I have a tan now. It's so warm. My God. I love it. Thank you so much for having me. My name's Meredith. I'm a photographer. I'm an artist. Another effing artist is my business name. I do a lot of cool things. I have a podcast. I'm an author. Like I said, I'm a very creative person, but the coolest thing I ever did was I faced my shit and I healed myself after 17 years of debilitating pain with endometriosis. And yeah, and I wrote a book about it, and I created a podcast about it, as well as an ongoing art series about it. And it really, everything that I do really touches that. It's really about how all healing begins with being real, with being authentic. Everything I do is centered around that mission to show others how to face their pain, how to face themselves, the truth of who they are, what they are. and see themselves for who they really are. And yeah, through my art, I am healed and I heal others. That's what I do.
I love that. And you will notice this QR code that's in the corner just above her left shoulder. That's her book, folks. Scan that bad boy. Get over there and get this book from her and go to her website. Check it out. You'll find all the links in our LinkedIn page, and you'll also see on our YouTube channel every single link that she has for everything. And she's got a lot of different places you can find her. Same with D Grant. You'll find all of that in the general section that we have for the video. Please go to that. But right now, scan that QR code, people, and we'll put it up here a little bit later. D. Grant Smith in the house. Brother, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Well, man, that question's always something that kind of makes me press pause for a second, because I'm like, there's so many things to talk about. It's kind of like, and so part of the reason why I call myself the Superman of storytelling. What is Superman's superpower? You got to count them off on multiple hands. It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
And so a little insight into my story. I spent a long time doing a lot of storytelling and telling other people's stories, and not realizing that that was part of my ethos and part of what it is that I do. I spent 22 years in broadcast media. I interviewed a lot of people. I worked with a lot of musicians. We were talking about that backstage. I helped people build relationships within different communities using storytelling as a platform for that. I went through a really unexpected experience that I think a lot of people probably relate to, going through divorce. And it was in that period of time when I learned a very quintessential truth about myself, that I didn't know what love really was. I had a really codependent background. I spent a lot of time chasing after things and not feeling like I was good enough or worthy. And coming into a place of beginning my own healing journey. Meredith talked about going through her healing journey. We all are in a healing journey of sorts, but mine had to do with me learning what love really is and learning how to love myself. And as I came into a deeper revelation about that, I started telling myself a different story, because I started to unearth the fact that, like, I've been telling myself a really debilitating, unworthy story for a very long time. And from changing that story around and looking at myself differently, I began to write all kinds of different stories and began to work with people in a different way. And I had this conversation with Seth Godin, who's a hero of mine and now has become somebody that I'm friends with. But he put the framework around what I call growth farming, which is we treat our hearts and our minds like a garden, and we tell ourselves a different story. We unearth the things inside of us, the story beneath the story, the subconscious stuff that has been holding us back from living the life that we really want to. And so everything that I do is about telling the story beneath the story. There's a surface level story that we're telling ourselves, but there's something much deeper than that. And in the work that Meredith and I do together, when we're working with businesses and business leaders, we go deep into the story beneath the story, so we can really dig into the why that leads into what it is that you do, so that you are really making the deepest, most powerful and profound impact in the hearts and reaching the hearts of the people that you want to work with. This isn't about getting people's attention through traditional marketing BS. It's about going deeper than that and getting into the heart place, because that's where the real transformation happens.
I love that you said that there, and there's like three things that I want to jump on, but the very first one is, now above Meredith's left shoulder is the QR code that will take you to D. Grant Smith's stories. And the reason I say that is because there's like 7 or 8 books in there. So
Like
listen,
20.
Oh my goodness. I must have stopped like at 7. But I realized when I was doing the QR code, well, I'll just get people to come to the page and then they can pick out what they want. So I am reading the book Neptune, and now I can't remember. I'm having a senior moment and I get you.
Saturn of Utopia.
Yes, thank you. Shameful that I couldn't remember.
Oh, good. It's all good.
I'm sitting here, I'm reading the book, and I can't remember the name of the book. But very, very excited about this, and very excited about letting you get to his books as well. So I will keep changing this back and forth so that you can see it. But right now, scan that QR code and get to some of his books. I also want to comment on a couple other things, and let's dive in. Before we get to what you guys are doing together, one of the things that I love that you said, because it really resonates with me and kind of my past. Both of you have heard some of my story. You guys worked on a project for HR for You, which was led to an incredible video that I just love. But it started with the interview process, and then getting the files and stuff over to Meredith to do her creative genius. And the interesting thing is that I am divorced as well, but I've been with my wife for 25 years. Jody and I have been together for 25 years this October, but I was married previously. Same thing, same situation where, I dove in. My family thought I would never get married. I was coming out of really just starting to be normal and be myself and get out of my addictions. Really wasn't fully healed, still telling myself all kinds of negative stuff and really not in a good place. I had no business being in that kind of relationship, and was married for like 30 seconds, long enough to have my beautiful girl who is going to turn 29 this year. Keely turns 29 in September. But it literally, so I feel you that, sometimes we do things in our lifetime that we think are on one path, but truly we really didn't know ourselves well enough or really take the time to do the healing inside so that we were good helping and being part of a relationship. Because relationships mean that you've got to be coexisting and helping someone besides yourself. So you need to be in a good space. And so I've learned a lot being with Jody. Jody has taught me a lot. She's roughed off a lot of the edges, but speak to. I do want you to talk a little bit more about the things that you learned, because you just brushed it on it, and I do want you to talk about that a little bit more. Not necessarily some of the pain or anything you're not comfortable with, but what you really got out of that you needed as a human that you didn't have when you were going into the relationship, and the things that you learned.
Well, so you were mentioning at the beginning of the show about being a boxing fan. I was in amateur boxing about 20 years ago, and at the time I was the old man in the gym. I've got endeavors and plans to go back and be a part of it again. Now 20 years later. Anyhow, one of the things that divorce taught me was just like all of life, like we're going to experience things that are going to knock us on our butts that we don't see coming. I equate it to like a cosmic Ivan Drago. That dude came like, whatever he hits, he destroys. Sometimes life does that to us, and we can get hit with stuff like, for me, it was divorce, but it was really the story beneath the story there is that I didn't know how to love myself. And so the biggest takeaway for me from that whole experience, and I appreciate it now because like very much like what, and it's interesting because I wrote a book you can find on my website, but I've only got 2 books that are on Amazon. So if you go to the QR code and you're like, oh, I'm just going to buy this stuff on Amazon and get it, rush delivered over to me. I don't do that. I only publish my work on my website so that I can build a relationship with you and understand what it's like for you to experience my writing. I can't do that if you go through Amazon, unless you go buy Be Solid, which is a book that I wrote after I got divorced, talking about my healing journey. And I talk a lot about boxing in there and draw a lot of comparisons and metaphoric illustrations from boxing into the healing journey. But actually, I was on a podcast episode with a mutual friend of Meredith's and I, and that's how she and I got to know each other when I was talking about my book in Be Solid. But it was in the process of learning how to love myself and realize what love actually is and how to give it to myself that's made the biggest difference. And so I didn't understand. I've been talking about this on LinkedIn a lot. I've been talking about the difference between kindness and niceness. I was a nice guy for a really long time. Meredith's actually taught me a whole lot about the difference between being nice and kind, because nice is not authentic. Nice is telling you whatever it is that you want to hear, whatever it is you think other people want to hear, so that they'll do something for you. Nice is being really needy and really self-serving. And you can't be authentic and be real and be nice at the same time. However, being kind, telling somebody the truth and doing it in gentleness and not trying to be vindictive or trying to be mean-spirited about it, but telling somebody a hard truth, an honest truth about how you really feel can be one of the kindest things that you ever do. But people that suffer from codependency have a really hard time with that, because they don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers and they don't want to make anybody upset. And I've had to sit in the pocket of people being upset, people being disagreeable with me, but standing up for myself and saying what it is that I really actually feel and being honest. That takes real strength. That takes a different kind of solidarity, and that takes a different kind of love. But those are some of the big lessons that I've learned from that whole process.
I love that. To me, there's two things that come out of that: having the ability to have courageous conversations and radical candor. I love the book, and I love the actual idea that you're doing someone a disservice. If you actually care about them, you're doing them a disservice not to have courageous conversations. Well, you touched on it, so I want to dive into it and let Meredith tell her portion of it. But how did you guys met? Obviously, through you were talking about your book, and it was with a mutual friend of Meredith's. So, Meredith, how did that all happen? And then how did you decide to get with Superman here and start doing some work?
Yeah, it was actually a podcast guest that I had on, Jenna Banks. I don't know if anyone knows. Shout out, Jenna. Hope you're watching. I'll send this to you. And she's amazing. She has a book, I Love Me More. And that's what we were talking about on my podcast. And I was just looking at some of her videos and some of the people she was talking to. One of them was D. And in this particular conversation, and I don't even remember you talking about your book, but what I do remember you talking about was more of the spiritual truths and just unity consciousness, basically. And it was just put in a just very real, simple, but very moving way. And it's kind of like one of those things, like, I'm very close with my own intuition, and I put in a lot of work to really know myself. So when you know, I'm like, I know this guy gets it. I need to know this person. And I did. And so I reached out, and here we are. So it was really awesome.
I want to bring up one little point though, because Meredith emailed me and said, I saw your podcast with Jenna Banks and talking about this stuff, and I would love to bring you on my podcast because you really understand these deep spiritual things, and it's something I really want to talk about. So since I used to work with musicians way back 10 years or so ago, and I saw her tagline, "Not another effing artist." At first, I thought she was a musician that was going to try to get me to play her music on my former radio show that didn't exist anymore. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to have to tell her, like, sorry, I don't do the show anymore, blah, 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 blah. So then I read her message, and then I went to her website and I was looking at her stuff, and I'm like, because she said she was so like, Meredith, you were so kind to me in your message. She kept saying that, like, what I had said on the Jenna Banks show was really inspiring to her. But then I started reading Meredith's story, and I'm like, this chick healed herself from endometriosis, and she's saying to me that I have inspired her. What the crap? That doesn't make any sense. I was like, this is kind of like Mother Teresa, like calling you out of the blue and saying, hey, I saw you did this really nice charitable event for this wonderful person, and you really touched my heart. Like, holy crap, you're Mother Teresa. So I just jumped at the opportunity to be on Meredith's podcast and get to have a conversation with her, because she actually inspired the living crap out of me. And it was from that conversation that actually, like, our friendship began to blossom, and she came in and joined into my community, and we really, like, have discovered over the past year or however long it's been that, like, we're like soul siblings from, some sort of cosmic galaxy, because this girl gets me in all kinds of ways, and I just have this massive infinite love for her in my heart.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I love the stories like this. You know, we find people and are drawn to people in really mysterious ways, you know, and I love how we all connected. And I love the fact that we still will stay connected and we could do stuff like this because I love the work that you're doing. So if each one of you would take the time to kind of describe now together what you're creating and how you're working with other businesses, that would be awesome. So Meredith, if you want to start out, that'd be great.
Sure. And it is. So I will start out, but I do want to preface with it is totally. I went through this process because this is like the roots of this are really Dee's brainchild, right? And the storytelling and like everything he does, right? And he's just such an amazing writer. So he had this service and was it storytelling? It was like story. It's basically I forget what you had originally called it, but it was a very in-depth interview storytelling where basically D interviews you and you're talking about your business, who you are, why people should work with you, what makes you different. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It goes a lot deeper into like the real roots of like why work with me? Like, why am I worth it? Why do I care? Why should you care? All of these things. And it goes in this kind of dance where eventually in the interview you may be asked like the same question but it's worded in a different way and you find yourself learning as you are talking about your own stuff. You're learning about new things about your own business and what you're actually putting out and gathering new ideas because you're in this conversation talking about it and being able to step outside of yourself and look at you. And it's a very, very cool experience. And I took that and ran with it. And I made I took the audio basically and put my artwork, put all these graphics. We had like a lot of really great content from that. And when Dee saw that and other people, I got so many comments on that, we decided to join forces together. And I'm really putting this in a nutshell, but we decided to join forces together and have that interview storytelling experience, but then combine that with what like people's branding and people's like their colors and like their graphics and like who they are. So you have like the audio, right? Like you actually talking about your own business and who you are and why people should work with you and the depth to really carry that through. And then you have the visuals, which really help engage people and make it digestible for people to understand rather than just like an hour-long audio of like, this is why you should work with me. So it's like these little chapters, right, that are really like little beautiful art pieces of your business and why. Did I cover it, D?
That was incredible.
Yeah. So basically Meredith was my client for a little while with that because I told her that, you know, I've got this storytelling interview that I do that'll really dig deep into your business and you can build she's a artistic photographer. So like the visual side of things, like this girl's got it all figured out. And watch any one of her videos, anyone, doesn't matter. Like it's a fingerprint. There's nobody else in the world that does what she does from a visual storytelling standpoint. So when I started watching these video clips that she was putting together from the interview that we did together, I'm like, holy cow, this is fantastic. And I was doing this work with other people and I was doing the video stuff. And I still do some video stuff with my clients. But for those that have more visual branding or they don't want just themselves on the video, they want to have more of a dynamic from a visual standpoint, it just made more sense to ask Meredith to come in and to do that part of everything. And so I just asked her if she'd be interested in it. And she didn't even like, I don't think she took a breath. She's just like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, getting the feedback from her since she's had the experience with me, knowing how deep I go. And by the way, if you can't tell, like I'm just a deep person. I don't do anything that's surface level of any kind. And so the heart behind what it is that I do, and the heart behind what it is that Meredith and I do together, is we help your marketing and your outreach endeavors be like you being Legolas or John Rambo with like magnetic tipped arrowheads that are aimed right at the heart of your customers. So you get hit right there in that emotional place, and you magnetically get drawn in to what it is that this organization or person or individual or leader is talking about. Because, and you guys know this, whether we're talking about YouTube or talking about LinkedIn or Facebook or any of these other social media networks, all of the marketing that's out there for the most part is people with machine guns and endless amounts of content spraying the crap out of people with all kinds. Let's just see if I can hit something. And it doesn't work, and it feels exhausting, and it sucks. And for people, most business owners, most entrepreneurs, most people that are trying to create content, whatever, for themselves, they don't know what to say. They don't know what stories to tell. They don't know how to clearly articulate their messaging at all. They're not exactly sure what it is about them that actually gets people interested in their stuff. And they throw anything out there that they can, just trying to make something work. But I know from interviewing people from all different walks of life, both in music and in leadership and in business. I mean, how the hell do you think I got a conversation with Seth Godin? I gotta have some sort of skill set to be able to get people's attention on some sort of higher level. And basically, what did I do? I told him a story, and I made him go, dude, I've never thought about it this way. I got Seth Godin to say that. If I got Seth Godin to say that, imagine what I could do for your business. Imagine what we can do for your business.
This is like the 5th time that I've heard Seth Godin's name in this week. I think the universe is telling me like something, and I need to pay attention to it. I'm going to do something that we don't normally do. And if you guys are okay with it, I want to show the video that you created for HR for You. And the reason I want to do this is twofold. One, I want you to see, and I want the audience to see just a snippet of what they're capable of. And then secondly, I have to say that this process when Meredith, watching Meredith's body language as she's telling about how D. Grant does the interviewing is exactly how I felt when he was interviewing me. And I have all of the clips from the whole thing. I've saved all of them. And I sat there and I just go, dang, go. I mean, seriously, it is incredible to me. One, I really love your voice too. And I know it's kind of deep right now because you've been battling a cold, but I love, you have a radio voice. You have this cool voice that's easy to listen to. And so when you start asking questions, they are not surface level. I mean, you really dig in, you really do a good job of digging things out and asking incredible questions. And when I listened back through to the whole thing, I was almost in tears. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what they created for us. I hope this plays right after all that hoopla.
We're looking at people that are coming out of being incarcerated, have to rebuild their entire lives, people that have been on the streets, that have been battling addictions and need to escape that lifestyle and transform themselves into using that addictive personality towards something positive. That's the transformation that I had to go through. My addictions, once I conquered and really had a hold on being able to push drugs away, then it became food. Even though I knew I had all of these certifications and I knew how to be healthy and I was in the gym and I worked out and I ran and I biked, yet someone that was 5'8" and was 225 pounds of pure muscle in college ended up being out of shape and 400 pounds. So your addictions will move with you. Now I use my addictions to talk to others, to help others, and to focus all my attention in on the work that we do. And that is what helps me.
Holy cow, people. That's incredible. It's incredible.
That's your story, dude. That's what's incredible.
I will tell you that experience, that experience was amazing. And I can't thank the two of you enough for even considering allowing us to do it and helping us to make that happen. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for how you show up for each other and for the community. So I really, I want to take the last part of the time that we have together, and I want to dive in on particulars about how you work with leaders like myself, other businesses. Are there limits? How can they get in touch with you? And D, we'll start with you. What's the best, all of that. I know I just asked like 5 questions all at once. But I got a little excited because we showed the video. But as she's telling the story, and then we were going to you, I'm like, I got to find that video real quick and put it up here. Like, why didn't I think of that earlier? So easy peasy, but that was great. Tell us, D, about, what specifically you can dive in and how you can help other leaders and businesses, and then how can they reach out to you?
Well, usually what ends up happening is, and I appreciate you playing the video clip, because usually what ends up happening is somebody sees a video that Meredith or I have done or stuff that we've done together, and they're like, oh, that's what I'm missing. Like the deep dive, the non-surface level stuff, like, and even like the way that Meredith described it and the way that you described it too, Jason, like when you're telling your own story, you guys all have these experiences. I have these experiences. When like you go on a podcast, you go on a show like this, and you get in that groove where you're speaking from your soul. You're not thinking about what it is that you're going to say. It's like it's coming from this other part of you that you're just tapping into, and you're in that perfect vein. And as you're saying it, you're like, dude, there's a part of you in your mind that's like, this is freaking gold, man. Like, but you're having one of those moments, and you finish saying what it is that you're saying, and you're like, wow, I never thought of my own story that way, but now I feel inspired by myself. That's what I'm tapping into when I talk to you. Like, one of my superpowers is I bring the gold out of people, and I help people recognize the gold that is inside their story. And just like gold that is mined out of the ground, you have to dig deep and you have to pull it up. And when you're pulling it up, there's other stuff that's attached to it, and you have to refine that off. So I've done the refining work in helping people go through, healing journeys and all that stuff. But now we're talking about the depths of your story, the depths of your why, the real gold behind what it is that you're doing. And if this is resonating with you in any capacity from what Meredith and I have shared, and even what Jason has shared, the easiest thing for you to do to bring your gold to light, and for you to be able to shine your light, the gold of your soul and the gold of your mission, of your business, into the hearts and souls of the people that you want to reach, all you have to do is send a message. Hey, dude. And you can call me dude. That's fine. Maybe that's what D stands for. Hey, dude. I saw you on Jason's show. How can we have a conversation? I want to do this deep dive interview. And from there, we have a conversation. And Meredith and I do this. This is a big part of our work together, is we don't just have like a blanket projection template of this is what our service looks like, and this is exactly how much it costs. Why? Because that sucks. She was talking about McDonald's in a previous conversation. We are not fast food. Your transformation kitchen stuff, Jason, like, you've got chefs that make customized dishes for people, right? We make customized packages that meet people exactly where they are and hits them with exactly what it is that they're looking for, and it's customizable just for them. So all you do is you have a conversation with me. I'm one of the easiest, coolest people in the world to talk to, and we'll find out exactly what it is that serves your best interests, and we'll put something together that meets you where you are and gives you more than what it is that you're asking for.
What else do you want? What else do you want? Some people that are going to come together, they're going to meet you where you are. They're going to help you get what you need to not be like everyone else, not do the whole pray and stay, This is not, this is not Call of Duty, and you're not out there like doing a pray and spray kind of thing. This is really hitting the heart of telling your story to the best of their ability and your ability. You tell the story, they get it out for you, and they turn it into something like what you saw, so that I couldn't have done that. I've created some videos, but man, they're like the Canva special. They're that Happy Meal. This is a seat at the big boys table, getting some real help from very, very talented people that have had incredible journeys, and they use that, and they use those journeys, and they use that information that they've gathered along the way to help them tell your story the way you want it told. So I am thrilled to have you guys here. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Don't forget, scan that QR code right now. That is Meredith's book. We're going to leave it up here for a second. And then I'm going to put up the grants as well. Now scan this one to go to his stories. Make sure that you do, folks. Make sure that you go to all of their links. You can find some incredible artwork. You can find some incredible books. You can get to work with these two incredible people. This is our people community event. If you are interested in being part of this show, reach out to me. We only have November and December left that we're scheduling. And we are thrilled to talk about just exactly like what we're talking about here, how people are doing incredible stuff to help others and do it in a way that is collaborative and incredible and different, so that you can get the most out of it. Thank you so much for the two of you being here. I feel like we need this one more time.
Thank you.
You guys have been incredible. I appreciate you both spending a part of your evening with me and telling the audience. I can't wait to see how many people come and comment. And I hope a whole bunch of people come and check out what you're doing, and you sell 1,000 books each. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, everybody. We will catch you next week. We've got some incredible people on the show. Check it out. We'll catch you next time.